Hi, this is Mike Rose, and my special guest today is my lovely daughter, Sophia Rose. We used to do these videos when she was much younger, and they were kind of cute and funny, but now she's older. She just turned 13, and now we're going to have a really kind of a serious discussion of what's going on in the world right now. As a 13-year-old, you obviously experience life maybe a little differently than adults might experience. The big issue, for you guys right now, and in fact for the country right now, is schools reopening. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that because obviously, you went through this last year with all the online learning. How do you feel about schools reopening and what the plans are, and what are you thinking about it at this point?
I think that, I definitely don't think that we should just full on start like it's just normal times, because it's not normal times. But I think that we should have some in-person learning, because online learning, it's an alternative, but it's just not a good one. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Kids do their work a lot less on there, like really good kids, and it's just hard to focus when you're at home.
Yeah. You
just don't learn as well.
So I know that, there's also a digital divide. Some kids have the technology and some kids don't. The kids in your school, do most of them have access to online devices and that sort of thing, or not everybody?
Our school actually gave out everyone a computer.
Yeah.
So they did that before we started online learning, because that would just be unfair if not everyone had a device. But still, there could be bad internet connection, which could mess up your classes and stuff. So
yeah, I know that you're anxious to go back to school, and most parents are anxious for you to go back to school. But obviously the concern is COVID and whether or not it would spread among the kids. And of course, there's been a discussion that, maybe the kids will be okay, and maybe a small percentage of them will be impacted. But you also have to be concerned about the adults. There's some, I assume you have teachers that, some of them are kind of old, aren't they? And maybe some of them have health issues, and that would be of concern as well. What do you think the solution is there? Do you have a solution? Because frankly, the adults are having trouble with it right now.
Well, I think probably the best thing to do would, everyone would have to wear a mask, but that's difficult, especially for younger children, and it's just hard to do all day, even though a lot of people do it. But I think that maybe shifts is a good idea, small portions of teachers and students at a certain time, or maybe some of them just have to come in online, or I don't know, some way.
Do your friends, they're 13, 14 years old, middle school, do they take COVID seriously at all, or do they see it kind of as kind of something that affects grown-ups but not them too much?
My friends personally, I think that we all take the precaution, whenever we want to hang out, we're usually kind of far apart or outside or something. But I think there's a lot of people my grade, and even people older, a lot of people older than me, who are I'm young, it's fine, even though it could have a lot of long-term health effects, or they could spread to their older family members or friends. Yeah. So I think personally my friends are, but definitely not everybody.
Yeah, so some of them care and some of them don't.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's reflective of the rest of the world. Some people care and some people don't.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to talk to you about that's very controversial right now is the issue of Black Lives Matter, racism in our society. And I know that where you go to school, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't whites in the minority at your school? Is that correct?
I don't know about the minority. I think it's about equal. Maybe there's a little more white kids, but
right.
I'm not sure.
Okay. How do the kids get along? Are there any kind of racial issues at your school, or how do they get along?
I think that definitely, if we went to school during the George Floyd protest, there would definitely be some, I don't know what exactly, but not fights, but just stuff happening.
So there is some tension at your school.
I guess I wouldn't I feel like a lot of people just don't really acknowledge race, even though that's bad. I feel like sometimes there's like separate groups, even though they're not meant to be like separate. It's just that sometimes there's like a popular white group and a popular black group, even though it's just, I don't know why that is, but it just...
So if I'm trying to understand what you're saying, are you saying the kids are divided on a lot of issues, not just along race? They're divided along popular kids versus unpopular kids, and then they're also divided perhaps on race as well? Or how would you describe it?
It's like, it's just the foundation. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, I don't think we really talk about race very much. Honestly, the American school system whitewashes a lot of history and stuff, so we don't talk about it that much, even though I guess we should talk about it more.
What do you mean by that? How do you think they whitewash it?
I think that sometimes white people are portrayed in a better light than people of color, and a lot of people of color stories aren't told as they should be. And like, our country is built on slave owners, and that's not really ever talked about. It's just like these great people freed us from the British.
It's interesting you should say that, because some people will say that, and in fact I think President Trump recently said this, that children are being taught in schools to hate the country. But you're kind of saying the opposite, that they're not being taught to hate the country, but maybe they're getting a whitewashed version of history.
I think it depends on who teaches you, but I think mostly that where we're getting our progressiveness, maybe from social media or just, I'm not sure. I don't think it comes from schools. I don't think they're brainwashing us or anything. I mean, I guess a brainwashed person wouldn't know, but I don't think that's what schools are doing. I think people my age usually learn from different sources.
Do you think, would you say kids your age are progressive or liberal, or are they conservative, or are they kind of just a mix of different political philosophies and ideologies? At 13 years old, people would say, yeah, how serious can they be taking politics? But
it does depend on the kid. I think a lot of people, their parents, a lot of people just echo what their parents say, but I don't believe everything that you say.
You don't believe everything I say? Where have I gone wrong?
I think that it's just so important to hear what different people say and look at that with an open mind. But I think there are a lot of progressive, this one girl, she's in my grade, I don't really know, but she posted Black Lives Matter is a joke or something.
Oh man, I bet that stirred up some
and she got pretty much attacked for that.
Yeah.
But I think people are just echoing what they hear, and it just depends on the kid.
You know, you would say, well, they're echoing what they hear from their parents or in popular culture or on social media. Maybe they're not necessarily giving it a lot of deep thought other than repeating what they've heard.
Exactly.
Sounds like a lot of adults I know, actually. All right, my guest today has been Sophia Rose, and we'll do more of these if you like them. If not, hey, we won't. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Sophia.
Yes.
My pleasure to have you on the show today.